Okay, so what we said now, some of you guys are still working on some of them. Hang on. There we go. But we're starting to work on, you found a style, and now we're starting to kind of stylize a little bit, right? Okay. So let me look here. Because, okay, here's the goal. I'm going to look at a couple. I want to talk about thumbnails, because by Thursday, I want to start seeing thumbnails of an entire composition. And then going into the weekend, I want to be working on putting these on your grid. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What will the assignment be for today?
What I just said.
What did you say again?
We're going to start going over thumbnails and stylistic point of view.
Okay.
And I probably won't go through all of them today. I want to just hit the ones that I think are either getting close, or maybe a couple, hit a few that I think are either close or some that really need to get pushed more. Hey, Danielle, where you at?
Right here.
And I think I have some examples of thumbnails already that I've used for this project before. I'm going to put them up, or I'll link it to the blog for that. So what did we land on, Danielle?
I've been struggling a lot with like the stylizing stuff. And I really like the ocean, so I'm kind of leaning towards, I was like researching the Kyoto fishing village.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I like how everything's kind of like rustic and like none of the houses look the same. And then I was researching in Iceland, they all have like, the roofs are made of like grass with like, the stones underneath. So, and then I was trying to do a bookstore, but then I was like, it's too boring. So,
Yeah, and you need multiple buildings probably.
yeah.
And like what I always say is, like, once I get a point of view, like with that Victorian stuff I showed you guys, then I start going, okay, now I'm really into this idea of verticality and squishing it, but I need to get some things that offset that. So then I found some boxier, shorter, squattier buildings and things like that. I found one that had a big curve on it. I could kind of use that idea. So then I had about 4 or 5 pretty good different types of shapes, and then I can kind of start building my scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you were talking about Kyoto Fishing Village?
Yeah, there's like a fishing village in Kyoto. And I really like how all of their like homes are right on the water. And so it's like they get around by boat and stuff.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. And the thing that's cool about like a fishing village is a lot of interesting shapes usually.
Yeah.
I always misspell village. Hang on. And there's usually like a real kind of jumbly density of stuff in those kind of things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just like here, look at that.
Yeah, I just like how none of it is the same.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things, like if you go to rural areas, I don't know, this is probably more built for functionality, I would guess. But like up here in the mountains, the houses don't look the same, and I think it's terrain based, right? Because they have to build to all these hillsides and these weird things, so they sort of tend to have to build to the property. Is it sunny down there, by the way?
No, it's cloudy.
Oh, okay. It's super weird up here because we're not that far from the fire, and it smells like a campfire outside, like really strong.
Yeah, I live right by the ocean, and there's like ash on the car and stuff.
What city?
Dana Point.
Oh, you're in Dana Point?
Yeah. So it probably explains why I like the ocean stuff, because I grew up.
Dana Point's has some tall ships, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we have like pirate ships here.
Yeah, I'd go paint those, man, and draw those and stuff. We're taking my class down there once, the Pilgrim, but the Pilgrim sank, right?
Yeah, the Pilgrim sank.
That sucks. Actually, I have to go down to the school tomorrow because I did a quick little sketch of it for my class down there. And then the dean wanted it, so I had prints of it done. I got to take them down there. Like, this is really interesting, this boat right here.
Yeah, I love old boats.
Okay, now, what do you mean when you're having trouble with the stylization part?
I don't know. I feel like when I draw buildings, it just looks like super generic.
Okay, I get it. Because
Yeah.
you stylize people and all that stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the things you can start with, you know, I look for things, I mean, this thing's cool, but I would probably, I'd probably also go Kyoto. Kyoto fishing. Come on. I mean, this is cool. But, you know, I might have to sort of cobble a few of them together. Like, I like this. And by the way, you're not making a documentary, you know. You can kind of play with this and sort of kind of create your own thing out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, you know, I might even start to take some of that grass stuff that you were talking about from Iceland. You know, maybe I use it on the top of this boat. I know I've seen boats like that. I don't know where. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the other thing, you might want to, because I mean, this is not that different than a building. Look how simple these things are. I might just start fooling around right off the bat. I mean, you're starting to kind of go there here a little bit, right here.
Yeah. And I like what's the word, eclectic stuff.
Yeah.
Like where it's like really busy.
Well, eclectic would mean a little more varied, more than anything.
Yeah, or just like clutter, like
density.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a fishing village is all about that.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's look at this real quick. You know, these boats, like the one we just looked at, you know, again, you can start pushing these shapes a little bit. And I might even look at another region from that area, but I'm definitely going to probably push the boat shapes a little bit.
Yeah, and since I live near a ton of boats, I could easily just go down.
Yeah, and again, like, you know, this, I could do my little thatched roof thing if I want. I might pull a little, I have a tendency to do this on roofs, so I'll pull the little beam out. You know, I might even put like a little bit of more of this sort of, because they're so simple, I'd want to probably do something with them. I might even put a motor on it, even though I know there isn't one. You know, what I'm saying is, like, you have free reign. I might put some support beams in here. And all I'm doing that for is just to give it more shape and make it more interesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Might bow that a little bit. Because all I want the architecture you're starting with to be is a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then when I got to the actual illustration of it, then I'm going to design like how the water's, you know, coming into it. You know, don't be afraid to steal stuff from other types of boats, right? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we can sort of get like just more interesting stuff in here. And to your point, what I'm really looking for, and I say this all the time, is I'm looking for a little bit of a density of shape. Yeah?
Yeah.
And especially, so let's take this. This is one thing I do like about digital is the way you can just cut and paste and redo everything. And I want you guys obviously in whatever you call it, sketchbook. And then what's nice too is you have these other boats. So you got those boats from the fishing village?
Yeah. A lot of like they have like garages, but they're like for their boats. So it's like little tiny paddle boat things.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, I like the view of that one photo we just saw where you have kind of the shore back here. Hang on. Ah. I'm going to go to this one. Yeah. You know, you could have the shore maybe back here somewhere. And you have to try a bunch of them, you know. But what I liked was the buildings kind of wrapping around that shoreline. Then you have this now where you're starting. It looks like you've squished it a little bit, which is cool. That's too big. Hang on. Hang on. For some reason, my Bluetooth just keeps dropping my mouse. I have no idea why. It's been doing it for 2 days. How's it doing? But they had a big one coming into sort of this area. You know, and then you can have some turning this corner. And I'm really squashing a little bit, but that's okay. And also, when you're making these statements like here, see that balcony
Yeah.
and this whole unit right here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want this to sort of, you want to make bigger statements. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like here, I'm going to probably pull that out a little bit. There's something on the roof. I don't know what that is. You know, and then there's this little thing. I'm going to push that pretty hard too. Maybe that comes out to a dock right here. And there was one that was sort of facing that way. I want you to stay on a 2-point for this. You know, maybe this is the, and then what's nice is that now you have you could have, you know, one of these other types of boats in here to get some variety going. Maybe this guy's got something on here. Maybe there's even something on here, maybe. You know, and then I could start to wrap this around and vary my sizes of my buildings and things like that. And then maybe there's something right here in that foreground. Maybe I put, you know, a bird here. or whatever. Does that make sense? You there?
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, my mic was muted.
Another thing you can do with fishing stuff that's kind of fun is like in the foreground here, you know, you could have some rope hanging here. You know, sometimes I'll put a lantern or something. You know, maybe there's the inside of a dock a little bit and I'm seeing the edge of it. So all this stuff can get a little more, give me a nice dark right there in my foreground. Like that, you know, because there's so much stuff around a fishing village. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's why I really like drawing them.
Yeah, me too. That's why I always go down to the Port of LA. I always say it's shape heaven. You just go down, there's shape everywhere, you know? And they're not the same shapes because even the ships look different from one to the other. The buildings look different from one. Everything looks different from one place to the next. It's really, I love that area down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does that all make sense? You got another one here that's interesting. So that, you know, and then just, you know, you've started your stylization here. You know, so maybe this guy. And keep it on a 2-point. I just want to keep it simple for this one, okay?
Okay.
Because I always get people, and I'm not saying it's you, they've never even done perspective. And then they go, I want to do all this, can I turn this building this way and turn that way? And I'm like, do you know how to do any of that? It's like, no. And I go, it's not a perspective class. Take a perspective class. Take Phil's perspective class, a great class, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, they want to do all this crazy stuff. And it's like, I'm not a perspective class. What I'm really trying to do here is 2 things. Establish how we're going to work and get you to understand the perspective tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm basically saying with you is just play. Push things, you know, push the verticality or not push the verticality, push it down, fatter, this, that. Simplify big shapes, make bigger statements with those shapes. Like this is interesting, this thing here, this whole unit right here. So, you know, I'd probably emphasize that a little more. You know, I really want to see this thing if that's coming out. And then maybe I'll even, you know, one of these isn't. Another thing I like about fishing villages and things is there's a lot of those houses and everything get really beat up, right?
Yeah, with like the rusted roofs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And this, by the way, could just become a corrugated roof, which would make sense. And they usually put a little thing over the top of it, over the apex. You know, and I can really push this thing. Maybe I make the supports on it not totally vertical, so they're, you know, they're a little beat up. I want to make sure I can see that, you know. So I want to really push whatever you're, you know, what you're starting to do here and here. Okay?
Okay.
But I think if you just go, I've seen your work. I know you know how to do this stuff. Okay?
Okay.
You're not building specific, but just kind of look at it just the same way you stylize people. You know what I mean? That sort of natural thing you tap into, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, okay, before I go on with this, oh, well, I'll get a couple more in here. Where's let me see. Oh, here we go. Elan.
Yes, Mike. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, no worries.
Okay, so what do you think?
I'm starting to get more comfortable with stylizing the buildings.
I love that.
So, oh, thank you.
This is fun. The only thing I'd say here is kind of watch your because boats are actually weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this kind of thing will sort of come up and in front of the part behind it, and then it sort of wraps around, and then it'll come down sort of like that. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this part kind of feels in front of the other part, right? Then I might even push this a little hard. I mean, it just depends on what you're going to go for. I
Yeah.
might push this out a little bit. Again, I want to, see how I'm breaking the silhouette a little more?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I
And
was definitely keeping that in mind when I was trying to
it'll
stylize
help
the buildings.
What kind of what kind of boat is this?
It's probably just like a small, it was like not really fishing boat. I forgot what the term it was. It was just one of those small little boats that you see always on the, I saw a tugboat. Somebody said it.
Oh, tugboat. Then I might add some tires on here or whatever they use.
The life-saving
No, a lot of times they
floaties.
really have tires on them. They'll have old tires.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
It's so it doesn't bump the when they're docking, it doesn't bump the dock.
Okay.
And tires are more fun than something more mundane, because they also have these things called bumpers. They're just these things full of air. You know, you can buy them. They're for that. They're bumpers, I think they're called. But I think tires is way more fun. And then I could, if I had a couple on that side, and then also, let's see something here. So where's this tugboat from?
I researched like New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
It was like the Dutch has canals as well, but like New Orleans also near is a port city. So I was playing with maybe putting a canal in the environment, but that's gonna be part of the thumbnails, and I'll play around with it. So,
like, look. See the old tires?
oh, okay, gotcha.
And then I would go, let's see. Because I like that you're stylizing it and you're simplifying it somewhat. Look at this crazy thing. You know. Look at this tower thing.
Okay.
But okay,
gotcha.
but what I like about this thing is now I can go, okay, maybe, and yours is real simple, which I like, but maybe it's probably too small. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's like something, because it's a tugboat, it's not going to have, my brain wants to go here and put like those things they have on fishing boats. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They have those. I think they lower the nets in the water or something with them. So I'm trying to see if this break up one more shape. You know?
Right. I did that on the other page I put a fishing boat in there, and it's really, yeah.
Just looking for don't they have anything on the back of these things? I mean, it could be a lot of things actually. Like this one. Let's see. This just becomes like that's the same one I just looked at. Here you go. Here you go. Right? It could be, where'd it go? Could be anything here. It could just be a piece of equipment. Just something maybe to give it a little more interest back there. And I don't know, once you get into contacts, it might not need that, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't always need, I'm looking at, and that's the danger too, by the way, of not putting it at some point in context, because then I might be overthinking the boat. And then once I get in context, I'm like, I don't need all this stuff on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's probably fine kind of the way it is right now. The only other thing I might do is they almost always have some sort of stuff up here.
Yeah. I have to look into that.
Yeah, I was just painting boats, so they usually have these like little. They look like little sensor kind of things. Even all the fishing boats and stuff have this stuff on. It's all random looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then this is New Orleans too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Thank you.
All these are?
No, I put some Dutch architecture in there too, but I combined some elements of
Yeah, good.
New Orleans to kind of just mix match, see which silhouette works. So
like here, and I know that these are just roughs. Again, a lot of times I come in when I'm doing this kind of thing, and I put a little divot between that's too big, but a little divot between the bricks, because the bricks, like when they hit the corner, there's mortar right here, and then the next brick sort of that edge of that building's not like that.
That makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
and I know it's like little stuff, but it's little designy stuff that like just makes everything look a little cooler. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking up, where did my zoom go? Breaking up silhouettes makes a big difference. Okay.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize that. So
yeah, and it's not because people always go, "Oh, that's detail." It's like it's not detail. It's just language. It's how things work. It's how you read things visually. It's what makes things look a little more complex. It's all those little things add up that are very small things that add up to making something look more complex or more interesting or whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks to me like you're kind of developing what you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
Again, be careful of the construction on the bottom of this boat, right?
Yeah.
That looks like Noah's Ark. What is that?
It was like I was playing a shape with like a Danish boat at that point. It was like a houseboat, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Like Danish houseboats. Like I like just thinking of that and then typing it in and going, what is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it a thing? There was a bunch of them down in Frisco somewhere. I was going to go down there. I was going to do a story about it, but it's a bunch of I have to look it up, so I don't know whatever happened with it. But it's a bunch of hippies have been living on these makeshift houseboats down somewhere in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
But now they're all older and stuff. I guess they've been living there since the hippie age era or whatever. And then of course that property down there is just insanely valuable. So now the city or whoever, county, whatever, is coming in and going, you guys can't do this anymore. Because they were like running extension cords, and these were things that didn't start off being houseboats. They kind of built them into houseboats. And they were fighting back and forth. And I don't remember what happened with it. I was kind of hoping the hippies won. Okay, so when I'm going to talk a little bit about thumbnails in a little bit. What's making these work too is your line, like you're punching the line in a nice way in different places, especially on this one.
Yeah.
This leading edge right here is great. And you see, hopefully you can see now the value of that, like knowing where to punch your line and how it makes the drawing look so much more pro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm starting to understand it a little more. I do have a quick question, Mike.
Sure.
So I was trying to draw the bay window on that building that your cursor's on right now, and I can't quite get
This one?
Yeah, I
Okay,
wasn't quite got the shape right.
It's sort of, I always call this octagonal. I know it's not octagonal, but it's sort of that idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing you can do, and I know, on this, we are using basic shapes and things, so it's fine. But, I mean, that's more or less to me, I think of that. So there's my block, and then I'm just going to shave off a corner.
Oh, okay.
And shave off a corner. I got to get this one right. And I can pull it usually in perspective, this one to this one, and find where the other corner is. Does that make sense?
Okay, I see.
But I'm just shaving off these corners. Then I just build it into I call it octagonal, even though I know it's wrong. And I just build it into that. Does that make sense?
Okay, I see.
That makes sense. It's the same thing, so all these things, if I'm going to come in here and go, I got a porch here. Here's a porch. and I go, I want to put stairs going up to it. I can do the same thing where I could pull this block in perspective, you know, when we get to the perspective tool, and then I just shave it down, you know, and then pull these in perspective. Then I can just, you know, drop my stairs on it, correct?
Yeah.
That way I know it's in perspective, you know, once I get to the tool. And then, you know, then I can go, okay, I want to put a railing here. And it just quickly becomes much more interesting, like putting a, because a lot of people, they don't put railings and things, and sometimes it doesn't need it, I get it. But sometimes it does. You know, and then I might do one of those fancier, you know, railing things. Might put some ball things up here, and it just starts to get more interesting, you know. And then you can go too far with that, where you just start putting too much stuff into it. It's a real editing kind of idea, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is why I like you guys working your sketchbook so much, because then you have to go to complex places and break down those scenes, those very complex scenes in your sketchbook from life. If you can do that, you can do this, right? If you do that, you can do composition. You can, you know, you'll understand indication, you'll understand editing, you'll understand scene development and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I like all these.
Thank you, Mike.
But now, okay, so now for sure with you, I love this. The way that dies into that little weedy, grassy bottom. This is cool that it's not a typical curb or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can like really kind of push the, whatever you call them, these little bricks in the foreground, and then they just start sort of just turning into sort of just texture back here. So it's gathered at the beginning, dissipates out as it's going away from you, right?
Right.
I used to have a really good sample of that. I think I know what it is. Anyway, okay. So it's going to be thumbnails with you. And basically all I'm going to want you to do with the thumbnails, you know, and I'll go over it in a minute, but so it might be short today. I'm not sure. Is work out what you're going to do in the, once you put it on the grid, right?
Okay.
Now, a lot of times, because I've done this so much, it's actually better doing thumbnails, no matter how long you've been doing it. Because that's where you can just burn through a bunch of ideas. Because I do it, like I'll start doing it on the grid, like for class. And then again, it gets back into that thing where it's like, I don't have the greatest idea, usually the first or second one. But I'm doing an 11 by 17 on the grid. And now I'm trying to fix it and make it work because it's big. And I've kind of got that in my brain where it's like, oh, I can't abandon it now because, you know, it's big and I've started drawing, you know, and it's like, you need to abandon it. It's not good. You know what I mean? Do that in your thumbnails.
Got it. Yep. That makes sense.
I mean, I know it sounds really stupid, but I love the thumbnailing process because you just can work out all your stuff, you know what I mean? Without burning a lot of time, you know?
Yeah, no, it helps for sure.
And the reason I bring it up all the time is I think I told you guys, I didn't really used to do enough of them. I didn't do enough color comps. I didn't do enough value studies. And I probably didn't do enough thumbnailing is my guess, okay? Until I did, and then I saw the value of it. And part of the reason I didn't do those things initially is because I go, well, I want to get to the finish, you know what I mean? I want to get to the finish faster, which is kind of stupid actually. And then I realized if you do your thumbnails, your value studies, and your color studies, your comps, it actually makes the whole process go faster.
Yeah, it does. I learned that from your traditional media class. So
yeah, all those, and then there's all those tricks like we're doing in there where you're just printing them out on crappy paper. It doesn't matter. You're just figuring out your color, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And people in that class, by the way, did some really cool color thumbnails. You remember that, right?
Oh yeah, they were amazing.
There were some really good people in that class. All right. They all worked hard, man. That totally blew me away. I'm starting talk about inking tonight in fundamentals. That's going to be interesting. Oh, where's Emma Bernard? Is she here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, so what are you thinking?
I was just kind of, for this one, messing around with different shapes because the other ones I did, they're kind of like basic. and I just wanted to make that one have a more funky like shape with it.
Like, I don't mind. Like, I think you can do something along these lines, like what you're doing here. But I think
Okay.
you got to get a little more refined. Like, I like this sweep, but what's happening is this thing is starting to feel kind of structureless, like it's deflating. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
I was having a hard time with that.
yeah, so I think what you want to do is pull it a little bit back. Okay, and the other thing the grid's going to help you a little bit with, you know, if you're not used to it, is like, again, like, see this dome right here? I can kind of just build, again, I can just build a, and I know it's kind of confusing here because this is not a perspective class, but I do have to teach you the perspective tool. I have to, because you're going to need it.
Yeah.
So I'll go, well, this is a perspective class. I can't go down the rabbit hole, but I have to a little bit go down it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So like here, I can build my box. And then, so if you build a box in perspective, I can build my ellipse right into that, the top of that box, right? So then that'll give me this, the basis for this dome thing that you're doing.
Oh yeah, that thing I was trying to mess around with the shapes and doing different stuff because I really like the original, but I wanted to change it up some because it looked doing the original shape. It looked weird if I was doing the new design of the house.
And also remember that these indications of it's got to also think about where the sort of perspective is. This is just going to open up. So if the horizon line, you know, it looks like it's around here. You know, these wrap around like that. So anything that's on the horizon, so if you look at an ellipse on the horizon line, that's what you're going to see because you're looking dead at on the ellipse. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, and then when I look up at the ellipse, it's going to start to open more and more as it goes up, and it's going to start to open. If I'm looking down at it, it's going to start to open up. Okay, so if you're doing a glass of water, this one, when you get to the bottom, it's going to open up. I think it's around 5 degrees. This will be a little more open. Okay, because you're looking down at it, so therefore it opens up, or if you're looking up at it, it'll start to open up. Does that make sense as it goes past the horizon line either way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. I was having a little hard time with it, to be honest, because I just didn't want it to be
Yeah,
like.
it takes a while, okay? So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I
Go ahead.
don't want to be too realistic, to be honest. I want to be more like fun with it.
Okay, you're doing, and I think this is good because this is you're probably fairly new to this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what I think you kind of have to do, and you're doing it right now. You kind of go, and I probably told you guys this in relation to work, but you got to really push it way in the hell out here, and maybe way in the hell out here, and then you end up somewhere in here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
You got to really explore the extremes of it. Really, I think that's a good thing to do, actually. And then we can come back in here and go, okay, what's not working? So now we could have this thing, if you want to have a dome here. We could just build that sort of as a sphere, you know, and then add our stuff onto it. But and I like the way this roof comes in front of it like that. Like it's in a little pocket. And then, like, then I want to go, you know, keep these things, they can be pretty wacky from a shape perspective, but make sure they're sort of following some structure a little bit, okay? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So I have a tendency to do this, or I'll pull the roof line out a little bit so it's not just hugging against it. It looks like you did here a little bit, you know. And then on the other one, you were doing a little bit of a see. I like this big extreme thing or a roof, you know. So maybe I incorporate that, like, you know, this building. Let me get this shit. I think I did it on the wrong layer. Yeah, I did. This building here I could build like another, I could build another little box here. Let's see, because sometimes the houses will, they have another section to them, right? And I could have this section.
Yeah.
I could build that verticality into this part of it. Then it dies into the house here, stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Start incorporating these things together. I could even pull this in a little bit like you're doing here. But again, we're getting two different ideas here. We're getting convex and concave in the same building, right?
Yeah.
I think you'd probably be a little better off to kind of maybe make that choice more like, hang on. Oops. A little more, make that statement. I'm going to push it a little bit here. And again, you can tell I'm on a verticality kick. And then you got this little thing here. Path. And like here, now I might use, I could probably have another thing coming out over here, maybe. And you have this stuff on the roof. This one I might do that other type of shingle that does this. But now I'm starting to take this idea, and instead of it feeling so like a balloon or something, we're taking this idea of this forced perspective going this way and using that as our design tool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when we get the perspective tool, you can do that and make it a 3-point thing, but I wouldn't do that. I want you guys to just kind of freehand it, and we'll worry about that when we get to the perspective part of it.
Okay.
I think you got some good things going on here, but again, let's get them a little more structured now. So I like this one actually. And I like this little, I'm gonna make it a little rounder so the hell with it. I love this stuff on the top. Just like I might, like if I have ledges and things like that, then I'm going to pull those a little bigger to make them read. And then you got something over here, which I like. It's another part of the house. And sort of just start to take the, I like that there's another part here. That's great. Start to just sort of structure it up a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So I'm just structuring a little bit is all I'm doing. I'm also just breaking it down and going, why is this working? I like the forced perspective a little bit. I like the sort of simplification of it. I like the decorative quality of the, like this one has like a decorative quality to the drawing that I like, so you can use all those things. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
You got enough here to start, really kind of nailing it, I think. Let me look through here. Oh, wait. Oops. Oh, where's Jesse at?
I'm here.
I love this drawing right here, man.
Thank you.
These are good. You leveling up a little bit?
I might have this one time.
Looks to me like you have.
Thank you.
These are pretty big leap, I think.
Thank you. These are I've done these on my tablet also, but those are my traditional drawing with a pen because my
These
iPad was, yeah, my iPad was kind of on the fritz and I couldn't upload them. So I just did these ones. I hope that's okay.
No, I don't care if you do them pen and paper. I don't care. Or a paper or digital. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Our finals, when we go into, using the perspective and everything, then I expect you to use Sketchbook. Have you downloaded Sketchbook Pro yet?
Yeah, I got it on my computer and
At
the
least that
iPad.
one's free, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going with Victorian, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. By the way, I saw I think it's called the Morey Mansion or the Morley Mansion the other day. So my girlfriend and I go to the doctor and I drove over there. And I'd never seen it before. It's in Redlands. Redlands is a really cool town, by the way. It's a crazy house, man.
What's it called? I'm gonna write it
The
down.
Morley I think it's called the Morley Mansion. Let me see.
The Morley Mansion. Okay.
But if you're in that area, it's worth going to see. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's more. Oh, wait. Yeah, this is it. Oops. Of course, it's a small picture of it. It's this one. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's super crazy in light because it's really, this actually makes it not look as cool, kind of, because it's really restored really beautifully.
Oh, wow.
I just was driving past. I'm like, holy crap, because I knew there was a famous one somewhere. See, there it is.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a way better picture.
Yeah, it's super amazing. Well, and also, if you're in Redlands, you guys, call before, because I don't know what's going on with them. I haven't been there in a long time. There's a thing called the Lincoln Shrine at the park by the library in Redlands, and it's a trip anyway. But you go, so it's a Lincoln Shrine thing. You go into this little building. It's a small little building. It has a domed ceiling. When you come in, the mural on the ceiling is a Dean Cornwell. Okay. Then you walk over to the right, and there's a little wing. This whole place is only, I don't know, 2,000 square feet or something. They have an original Rockwell oil painting in there that you can just walk right up to and look at. It's amazing. Okay, it's a major Rockwell. It's a big one. Yeah? You guys hear me? Okay. And
Yeah,
then
we can hear you.
if you walk in from there into the back of the library, there's like a rare book room, I think it is. You go in there, you knock on it, and you go, I want to look at the Cornwell, and they'll let you go in. And there's Dean Cornwell's color comp, which is insane because it's like 12 feet long or something. That's his color comp for a mural he did over the Central Library in LA, right? It's unbelievable, okay? Okay, enough of that. Oh, by the way, I want to show you guys this real quick. Okay, so I like this guy's sketches a lot because they're simple. But like sort of what we're doing here. So you guys can see, look, these are very simple statements. But see how he's making a bigger statement? It's kind of like we were talking about with that one a minute ago with the with Danielle's, with the balcony area or whatever. You got to really kind of push these things a little harder. Does that make sense? This guy's a good guy to look at. Oops. This is nice. These are great right here. Okay, that's kind of where I want you guys to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very simple, you guys. Look at this, by the way, is kind of a tutory thing. You know, look at all these little cool little things he did, you know. Look at the chickens, right? Look at the pig, like super stylized. Look at this sign, like that's the stuff, okay? Here's some thatched roof stuff. And by the way, don't be afraid to go in and like look at this kind of thing. When it comes to this kind of thing, like if you go, I'm going to kind of use that shingle idea, the way he's indicating the shingles. He didn't invent it, okay? I think that stuff's kind of fair game. If you're just trying to look just like his stuff, that's different. But like this way he's treating the thatched roof, that's just the standard kind of way of drawing that. I mean, all this stuff is more or less a standard way of drawing something, okay? These are really nice. Look how he's leaning on the line work right there. He sort of gives it that heavy punch of the line right there to pull it forward. Dark elements here, you know, a heavy line here to separate it. And I love these too. Because look how simple those are, okay? So I'll link him today on the announcements thing. I like this too, just because it's so simple. Just stylizing food. Look at the toaster. But this, by the way, you guys, it's a great exercise like in your sketchbook. Just start stylizing, you know, when you get used to drawing them and stuff like that, start stylizing them a little bit and playing around with them. I mean, you can do it with anything. And I think it's a really good exercise to do it with something as simple as a sandwich or a pizza or something like that, okay? Just sort of everyday objects you don't think a whole lot about. Anyway, there's a bunch of them in here, okay? Does that make sense from a stylistic point of view, that kind of stuff? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so Jesse.
Yes.
Now, and I know you can see why every time I go to Victorian, I go to verticality, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Now, it doesn't have to be at all, okay? That's just where my brain goes. Well, because it just, you look at it and you go, okay, that just looks super vertical. Hang on. It already looks stylized because it kind of is. Get rid of this. Okay. There we go. So, I think, let's look at both of them. Mike, is this one the second one? This one? Or the first one?
This one's the second one, the one that you're on right now.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Hang on, I'm going to try and make my stupid mouse work. Maybe it'll start working. There it is. Okay. Oh, I did it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I think we can start. You know, I mean, you're pushing a little, it looks like. You might start pushing a lot of this. And a lot of this stuff, like the decorative stuff, I'll simplify it. There's a lot of surface detail on these kind of houses. And I don't necessarily want all, I mean, you might, it's fine. I want to get them out of feeling super realistic. I like this little balcony thing. Hang on. Again, I'd probably push that a little harder.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe whatever
Mm.
that is, whatever this little decorative element is, might push a little harder. Because the thing, okay, so here's the trick with Victorian, I think. Kind of a little bit of everything, but is you can put a lot. So this information that's like all over the house, like all that gingerbready stuff they do, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm. Yeah.
All that
That's
gingerbready.
what it looks like, little candies, like circle candies.
Yeah, yeah. So all that to me starts to become shorthand and simplified. So like if I have, and because they have, sometimes they have a lot of surface decorative stuff going on, right? So I get where I go. I don't want,
Hmm.
I want it to look bit like, okay, so another thing here, like these columns, I might get a lot fatter with them. I know some of them I'm just making up, but whatever. You know, I might get a lot, you know, and why am I doing that? So it reads, correct? Yeah?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and I don't know what kind of, well, let's look. Okay, yeah. So that one right there looks like a house in Riverside. I don't know. You know, I can put this in here a little bit. I'm gonna break that up. And then, let's see. There's some stuff going on in here. Facial board. You know, and then I might add myself, because I like to add, not always, but maybe a little porch railing there. Because then, yeah, and you already have that. You know, you can put your, I like that you put this. But it's sort of like why I just showed you that Christabota stuff where you kind of hit these things a little harder so they read. They get a little more stylized. Like there's this one in here with that roof. So I might go, you know, steal this idea of this big swoopy thing in here, but I might make a little bigger statement with it. And I have to make sure it reads okay. It doesn't get crazy, you know. And then I love these, I'm just going to put it on here. That's how this connects, you know. So maybe I can maybe make this here. So I'm just building a box on here. A lot of this is just boxes. And then I'm going to steal the other idea from another one here. I want to make this top piece a little bigger. Hang on. Oops. Let's go back here. I'm looking at this right here. And then I can get that little thing going on. That's too big for the scale, but you get the point. And then it's got this really cool little circular thing in here. And then it's got these little pieces that come down and go right into like this. I don't know if it's a window or whatever it is. It's also got these cool little, I don't know what these are called, the little supports. And then again, this one I might go, this is one where I might go with that other type of, whatever you call it, the rounded shingles. Does that make sense? You there?
Mm-hmm.
And then they do this, somebody else was doing it a little while ago. They have these weird, like little fancy looking things on the roof. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. I don't know what those are for. Maybe they keep birds off the roof or something. I don't know what they're for. Anyway, and then I put a little trim on here, and then maybe I'll do, like, the one thing that I like about these kind of houses is all this building a box onto a box onto a box onto a cylinder onto this onto that. So it breaks up the shape in a really interesting way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I know that, that that's part of my language, you know, then I can go, I'm gonna, you know, because I don't know what this house is. The house is whatever I want it to be. So I might put another one here, maybe, you know, which is just another part of the house or whatever. Because I just saw that here. Where is it? Right here. There's a low slung one on this other building I really like. So maybe this comes out. Maybe this is just part of the whole porch. Maybe the whole porch just wraps around like that. You know, and I can keep, I like the way this one comes out over it like that. And it's got this kind of cool thing like that. You see what I mean? How we're kind of pushing the stylization a little bit?
Yeah, totally.
Hmm?
Yes, I can see it. Sorry, is my computer breaking up?
You're making what?
Is my computer breaking?
No,
Is
no.
that hard to hear me?
No. I didn't, actually, we're doing pretty good with it. I haven't had too much problem.
Okay.
Um,
But yeah, everything makes sense in the pushing it more. But I see what you're doing.
I think you got a really good start here. I think the thing that I hope you're figuring out, the point of this first round of these things is to learn the language, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't just come in, you want to learn the language. So you're like a little bit fluent with the language, and then you can start to put sentences together, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse than when you give somebody so, you know, something to do, and they come back with something that looks very childish, and it happens a lot with students, actually. It's one of the reasons I push the kind of research in every class and approach. They come in with stuff, and I go, you didn't look at it, you didn't do any research, or where did this come from? And they'll go, oh, you still looks cool, and it's like, it looks totally childish. You know what I mean? It just looks super amateur time because you didn't do any research, you didn't run through your thumbnails, you didn't start coming to conclusions, you just wanted to jump to the finish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which also tells me, it bothers me, because if that's an employee, then you go, do you like doing this? Because it looks to me like you're trying to just get it done and get it off your plate. It doesn't look like you're luxuriating in the design process at all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then it makes me question, like, do I want to keep this person on my team? Because I don't really want somebody here who doesn't want to be here, doesn't really like doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Does this look too childish? Do these ones?
No. What I'm talking about is because I know you weren't here, and I just want you to know what our point of view is and why we're doing this.
Okay.
So we're learning. No, I don't think it does at all.
Okay. I just wanted to double check.
But you missed that part of the equation. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
We're trying. Yeah, it's a process. You do your research, then you start. I usually just start drawing straight. You know, like I think I told you guys, I did that project I had to do for the city of Riverside. I went to those neighborhoods where I was going to design this thing. Walked around the neighborhoods. I go, okay, there's some really cool Victorian houses, some really cool neighborhoods in Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
And I just walked around the neighborhood and sat on the curb and drew the houses in the neighborhood and just got the language of that specific Victorian neighborhood under my hand. So it was super specific because it was that particular neighborhood. And then I started seeing repeatable things where I go, oh, this stuff is, because there's like 50 different types of Victorian architecture. And I started realizing, like, a lot of these are based on high style Victorian or whatever the hell it was called. You know what I mean? Because I had a book that showed me all the different types of Victorian, broken down into very simple shapes. And I started looking at it and going, oh, their point of view was this particular style of Victorian. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But then when I'm designing the building that I was designing for the neighborhood, I kind of keep it in that flavor because, you don't want to just put something in the neighborhood that has none of the neighborhood's flavor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they do that all the time. That's why people hate McMansions, right? Because they don't care about the neighborhood. Where's Grace at? You here?
Oh, sorry, I'm right here.
Okay, so where are we at now? These are Victorian, okay.
Yeah. I think I was just more experimenting with like different like I was looking up other types of architecture that were kind of similar. Like there's like French style architecture.
Sure.
Yeah, and like sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
And I was just adding stuff to like I was just adding more stuff and trying to like see like what looks good.
Okay, so give me a little more definition by Thursday, okay?
What do you mean?
More of a point of view.
Okay.
There's a little more of a point of view probably here, maybe even here.
Yeah.
Maybe here. Be careful with this kind of thing. And I know these are thumbnails basically. And I know that like, because I do the same thing. I'm just doing, but I kind of want you guys to really think about your thumbnails, that they're very clear and all that. So be careful when you're doing things like this. Like this. If you're gonna do like a brick thing, you can start it like that, like nice and light, and then hit a few, but you don't want it to all become super uniform. And then I usually just let it fade off. And I might go, if the light's coming from this direction, I might hit a few underneath. You know, make it a little more subtle. And again, I'm gonna go break that edge a little bit. You know, and then if it's a fence, I'm gonna give it a cap. And then I'm gonna have it die into the ground, probably some grass or something. And then I'm gonna punch my lines. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you don't want to get.
I was actually.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what was that? I was actually doing more research this morning after I turned it in, just to see like what kind of direction I want to go.
And then like here with this window, there's probably, again, looks like you got a little bit down here. I might make this little, whatever these are called, the ledge on the bottom, like a little more prominent so I can see it. I might put a secondary piece there.
Okay.
And then here, there's probably something around this window, probably a frame or something. And then I'm going to punch these little lines because the light's coming from here, you know. And I'm just going to kind of, you know, when you're designing things like this, especially things like this that we're going to stylize and stuff, you have to, again, you have to make a little bigger statements. Things can't be, because I get people all the time and they go, and I go, that's a really small statement on that. And they go, well, that's how it looks. And I go, I don't care how it looks. Like, it's too small a statement in this context. You know what I mean? So like if I had a flower bed here, I'm going to push that a little bigger, probably, so you can actually see it, you know? Some of them come over this, maybe if it's a little flower bed or something. Some of them spill over some of the leaves and things. And I'm just going to make a little bigger statement than, you know, if I'm looking at reference or something, I have to interpret, you know, that's, you know, you have to learn to interpret these things. Does that make sense?
Okay, I got it.
So I would say, give me, you know, and I know I keep going back to verticality. It's just because whenever I'm on a kick, it's just stuck in my brain. But, you know, it doesn't have to be that. It could be like, you know, maybe it goes lower, slung. I'm looking at this one here, you know, and then maybe I can do some of that crazy stuff they do with this. I want to pull that roof down a little bit. You know, maybe I'll make it a little squatter. Maybe I'm not going to go super vertical. Hang on. Oh, okay. I like this little thing. Oops. And then this little window fits in. I love that. Put this in there. Make it a little. So if you notice, I'm making a little bit bigger statements. I'm gonna really pull this like a little awning thing out a little bit. And it's got something underneath it, you know. Then I'm okay. So then it's got a stairwell coming down, which is cool, and then this, you know. And I'm just sort of making a little bigger statement with it. Does that make sense? I'm just pushing everything to a little bigger, right?
Yeah, I got it.
A little more readable, that kind of thing. Okay. And my mouse is there again. Cool. Does anybody know why it does that? Why a Mac does that? It drops my connection to my mouse like every 10 minutes, which is driving me up the wall.
Maybe it's your driver. Like the mouse
I did
driver.
this. There's this thing you can do where you remove everything, and then
Yeah.
you reset the Bluetooth module. And I did that yesterday, and it worked for a little while, but it just keeps jumping.
45.
So is it a wireless mouse or?
Yeah, it's Bluetooth.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm not really sure then. Because I did have a problem with that too before, like with like AirPods and stuff, but it kind of like sort of fixed itself. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's the driver or.
By the way, at some point, I'm going to go over foliage with you guys. I just want to get through this part. Where's JL Ayala? You in here? I don't see them. Okay. Some of these, if I'm not going over them, it's probably ones that I saw last week, or it looks like you're probably kind of ready to start thumbnailing. So those I might not go over. I think these, oh, okay. Karina, you in here?
Yeah, Mike.
Okay, same thing with these. I just want a little, maybe one more round. Don't be timid with your line work either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like get a little boom, punchy, right?
Yeah,
Nice
because
control, okay?
the first page I was kind of trying to figure out what to stylize, and then I started squashing and stretching the building. So that's how I figure it out. So yeah, I'll do more.
Because you kind of found this direction a little bit last time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember this roof.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing I'd say is, okay, you got a nice tall vertical here. And then you got this sort of bowed idea, you know, of the roof kind of bowing out like that. That's cool. I know you're exploring it. But then I might, and this one's like, you might get a little squattier one like that, maybe try a different type of roof to break it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe get another one now that is a complete abandonment of this and get like, I don't know, I think you're probably safe with about 3 or 4 different building shapes, maybe something taller and thinner, something wider, something shorter and squattier, squarish, and then against all your rounds and so on and so forth, right? So, you know, maybe have a big vertical house. I've got, you know, something that's much shorter and squattier with a different type of roof. You know, maybe this. Maybe there's one that just has, you know, a totally different kind of roof. I don't know what that is. You know, and then I get maybe 4 shapes, you know, and I'm like, okay, because then I can go, okay, this one, maybe I'll put that way back here in the background. But now I'm going to build, like, I'm going to just take that vertical part and I'm going to make this a clock tower. And maybe it has, you know, the weird roof on it. And there's going to be a roof that comes down like that. You know, and then you kind of take the same ideas and recycle them into a whole new idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you
Makes
got
sense.
about 4 shapes, you should be pretty good.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
And I want you guys to get like, and I see you guys, some of you guys are making those leaps. And the reason I'm pointing them out is because they're people I know, so I know where they came from. I know where Elan came from. I know where Jesse came from. Some of you other ones. And I'm seeing the shift in the drawing, and I think Elan, both of them. Elan's starting to do very simple drawings, but I think starting to understand the quality of like knowing where to punch that line and how that just that simple thing can really punch a simple drawing like this, and it pushes it up just to a more professional looking level. Okay. Even when you see thumbnails, you're looking for that in the drawing. You're looking for really great that kind of clarity, and it doesn't look childish, and it just, I don't know, it looks very artistic. I'm not explaining it. A little designy, I guess. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. Do I have, wait a minute. No, I don't think I have it in this class. Okay. Oh, these are good. Let's look at these. Where are you at, Anthony?
I'm here.
You could go with them as kind of as is, this kind of style. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I definitely struggled to get kind of the more animation look to it.
Okay. Okay, so part of that, I think, I mean, you've got a lot of density of information going on. You might want to just take a round if you want to get that. Is that what you want to go for? Like a little more, cartoony, whatever you want to call it, animated kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I would probably try to reduce a little bit, okay? So, and again, what's this based on?
Russian.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's look at this real quick. Okay, so these are like, what do you call that? Like cabins, kind of, right? Like logs and all that?
Yeah, they're built out of a lot of wood.
Okay, so I might reduce, and if you notice a lot of times I'm using this really fat brush that's almost like drawn with a grease pencil. I do that on purpose because I don't want to get any kind of, when I'm first starting this stuff, I just want to work real broad. So if I'm using kind of a clunky drawing tool, I can't start to get fussy because I don't want to get fussy yet. Does that make sense?
You're using the brush tool?
This one's a little feather. I just like the way it feels. It feels a little bit like charcoal. That makes any sense?
Okay. I don't know all the tools yet because I just started using the digital stuff.
I'll give you guys, I haven't given you guys my brushes yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, I'll give you guys all my brushes. So you're gonna get inundated with brushes pretty quick, okay? Okay, so let's.
Will these be for Photoshop?
They'll be for Photoshop, yeah. That's why I haven't worried about it yet. I might push these things a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna probably simplify and make some things a little bigger. I know I'm a little narrower, but that's okay. And then I want to put this, I want to put a little thing on. I want this to overhang because I just think it looks cooler. And then, okay, so then, and I actually like how squattier yours is, but I already started this, so the hell with it. Okay, so we're gonna have this edge. Okay, and then, okay, so again, like on these these things, I might pull them out a little bit. And then they're going to be here. I'm also going to probably, like on the ends of them, here's the end of the log. I'm going to do some kind of little loggy looking swirl or something in there.
I tried doing that. I just got too frustrated after a while.
Yeah, it just takes time.
But I made them pretty small too.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm only indicating them, because at this point, I'm just looking for ideas. So at this point, I love this back here. And then this has some kind of weird wood thing. And then I make sure, okay, so another thing, I might be looking at something and I go, I really like that little porch thing back here, but there might be something about it I don't like, and I'll just change it. I'll look for some other thing that I can throw in here. I'm gonna make this window bigger. Why am I making the window bigger? Because I don't want just like a little tiny shape in there. You know, I want something substantial in here. You know, maybe there's more wood stuff going on, but I've got a small space in mind, so this is fine. And then it's going to kind of come up. And then another thing I'm going to do, and you can see I'm making it a lot chunkier. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't want all these tiny little shapes in there. And also, see how the log stuff reads better if I make it bigger? Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's pull this back, and we're going to say this goes to here, and my door is here somewhere. Now, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these big planks out. Make sure you read that there's a plank on the end. And all this stuff is not going to read great in my thumbnail, but it's helping me figure out what I'm going to do here. My perspective's really funky there, though. And then I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. I'm going to put some whatever you call them, steps here. And, I'd go find some way of doing that. This might be stone now down here. Hits the ground. I'd probably put some grain on, some stylized grain on those things. Start to separate these. I'm going to pull this out a little more. And then I'm going to try a couple of different passes at it. I'm going to fix the things that I don't like on this one, but that's giving me an idea. But see how it's very reduced, a little squattier and fatter, on and on and on. Does that make sense? Yeah? Where are you at? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got muted for some reason.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Let's go. Okay, so, and then, I'm going to look at, by the way, in any of these things in Photoshop or Sketchbook Pro, I'm only using Photoshop right now because for this, it's just easier for me to get through these real quick. If you look at, see, I got that white there. If I go here up to overlay, and you can do this in Sketchbook too, and I go multiply, it gets rid of the white. Okay, so if I'm putting pages up or sketches up on a page, I always turn that off so I can get really close to each other and I don't have to worry about it. If I go this way, you're going to see through it. But other than that, it works pretty good. All right, so the thing I would do is I would start going through here. If I go, okay, here's sort of like, let's say I go, I like this kind of reduced style, this simplified style. Then I'm going to go, can I apply it to, because I like this building here, this one. Can I apply it to that now, and come through here and make this bigger statement with everything. I want to make everything chunkier, like this overhang. I want to make it a lot chunkier. Maybe I'll squash the whole thing. I'm just gonna put a what do we call that? A window back there. I'm gonna make all this timber stuff. I love this. I want to steal that. I'm gonna make all this timber stuff chunkier and bigger. I'm gonna make this chunkier. I would draw that like that, and then I would put my stair step in it. Pull it back. You know, and then I could start to build these things here. It's going to come down like that. And then I'm going to add some big chunky stuff here. Love this. It's got this cool, this I'm going to definitely make more chunky and big, this decorative finial or whatever it is. And then, I don't know what kind of shingles they had on these. But do you see how we're starting to get a little bit of a chunkier, kid-like point of view?
Yeah.
So now the goal there is that you go, okay, like when I look, it's just, it speaks to me, the idea of log cabin and timber, my brain goes right to chunking up all that timber and everything. If you look at, it's actually not, it's not uncommon at all. If you go look at Pinocchio, it's kind of this, right? Very chunked up, heavy wood, tangles like that. I could probably think of 100 of them. Snow White's like that kind of. They use that all the time, that big chunky heavy timber thing, right? It's very storybooky, okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would go and just like, I think you're already getting a point of view, but I hope you can see if I stylize and chunk, it starts to go a little more towards that animation kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll definitely go a little bit larger.
Yeah,
on the wood.
just chunk up your like deck, like even this finial up here. I made it much bigger and simplified, right?
Yeah.
Getting all these weird communications from people. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so that's what I think about that. Russian, is that Russian? No. Like this one I know, obviously.
Yeah.
There was some, I think it was in Russia, I think. And I don't know where I saw this at. It might have been Art History or something. But there was these, I don't know if it was Russia or whatever. I can't remember. It was some remote area where it's freezing cold for like 9 months out of the year or something. And they had these, like these little, one of the ones you drew, the first one I fooled around with that little log thing, remind me of that. There were these little houses, and they had all this like on the insides of them, there was all this carving and stuff, and all really intricate. The whole house was like covered in all this decorative stuff, and they carved everything. And I was looking at it and go, and it's so interesting because they don't have anything to do, and it's freezing, and they're in their house all the time, so they sit there and do that. You know what I mean?
I've never seen it, but
yeah, I always want to go back and find out what that was, because I remember asking about it and going, holy crap, like why is every inch of it covered in like something decorative? And they're like, it's the middle of nowhere, and it's freezing cold here, and the whole winter they're holed up in their houses, and I guess they just do this, you know. Look very stir crazy, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Where's Mackenzie?
Right here.
I think you got to give me a little more, little more, right?
Yeah, because I was just exploring a new style and I wanted to get it right the first time.
So what I just said about Anthony's
Hmm.
kind of applies to you too, right?
Yeah. I kind of looked at what you said. I took what you said about Big Hero 6 and I
Yeah.
kind of looked at the styles of it, and then I looked up like what it was called, and I found some website. It said Japanese Victorian, and I was like, okay, I kind of get it, because it was like a normal building with just Japanese style roofs,
Yeah.
and
Well,
I wanted to get the roofs to look right.
hang on. They went a little. They usually go a little further. They'll go a little further.
Okay.
They because here's what you never want to have happen when you're designing, okay? You don't, I probably said this, but you don't want to go like this is a good example, right? So what could have happened here if they didn't have amazing people working on these things is they could have just grafted a bunch of Japanese architectural stuff onto San Francisco, okay? That you have to go a little further, and then you have to, in my opinion, and I don't know how they did theirs, I would have to have some backstory of why that happened. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure they did, but I'd be going, okay, it's San Francisco now. Why? Why is that? And why? Okay, why did the architecture change? Did the architecture change? Obviously, it became this for some reason. So there was an influx of this new culture, but how did it evolve? You know what I mean? Like, how did it evolve? Because I need to know how it evolved for me to be able to design it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so learn the backstory to figure out how.
Yeah, even if I give myself, like when I'm doing stuff like this, I'm not going to sit around and write some big backstory. You know, I'm just fooling around or whatever. But there's always a backstory in my head, and it starts to reveal itself through thumbnails a lot of the times and my research or whatever. And then I'll go, this happened, and there was a thriving fishing port here, and the fishermen were from Yugoslavian culture, and then they started kind of overlaying, and then when they built new things, they kind of put that flavor in it, but they're not going to go balls out on wherever they came from, Yugoslavia or whatever, because they don't really have the money to do that, but they want little accents on it. So then it starts to grow, and it's not just automatically, because usually things, if something, just like Tudor style, any style in the United States that comes from somewhere else, which is almost everything, it evolves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's going to evolve. It's not just going to happen overnight, okay?
Mm.
So these, and I always forget to go down the rabbit hole of this, like what their point of view was on it. I mean, you can go down to that main plaza down in Chinatown in LA, and they kind of did that a little bit with that, where you look at the buildings and you go, that building's really just it's really just a box, just like decorating the cake again. But they put that, there's one there that actually somebody lives in. It's like this super bitchin' like apartment or whatever. But anyway, it's a box. But then they put those, those fluted corners on it, and they put like a balcony on it that had, those sort of influences, Chinese influences on it. And they do this kind of overlay over it, and it tricks you into sort of thinking that you're seeing. Then you put, all the lanterns. So what you're really doing is you're creating a lot of shape language and overlapping language. And I don't know how much they thought about that, but that's how I think of it, right? And I go, well, you're breaking up the space all over the place, so it feels much more complex in everything than it actually is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it, kind of.
Yeah, I was just talking to my girlfriend about that, because we're going to light the restaurant, because the back of it is cabins and all that kind of stuff. There's, acre, like an acre or whatever it is behind it. And we're going to light it at night. And there's a lot of things you can do with the lighting. I was telling her this. I go, they can make the space feel much bigger, make it feel more like it's a little more endless, like based on what you do with the lighting. And part of that is breaking the space up. Disneyland does it all over the place. Okay. Disneyland breaks up sight lines all over the place to make you feel like New Orleans Square is not that big, but it feels a little bit explorable because they've broken the space up in a way that sort of jumbles all the images and everything, and it feels like it's much more complex than it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing, okay?
Okay.
So here's one. Here we go. I need to get the art book for this because it'd actually probably be interesting.
The art of books. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
wanting to get them. They're really expensive though.
I used to get all of them. I
Yeah.
haven't bought them in a long time.
There was
Yeah.
one of the pictures of the college in this movie, and also the police station in this movie. It's actually pretty cool looking. It's just like a really big building, and the roofs are so intricately like Japanese, but only slightly. Like not too much
Yeah.
of an exaggeration with the curved edges and the corners, but you can tell it's more Asian looking than Victorian looking.
Yeah, look at these shapes here.
Yeah, I also wanted to go Japanese modern, but at the same time, when I was doing research, it was just a bunch of boxes with different layouts, I want to say, like one going outwards, one inwards, and then just repetitive patterns like that.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at something and you go, you know, you kind of want to use it or whatever, you know, and you're going, well, this is a little too boxy or whatever. Then you can go, well, okay, if I like something about this, now I can take something else and overlay that into it to make it a little more interesting or whatever. It's your world. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It just needs to feel coherent. Does that make sense? It needs to feel designed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
I'm trying to push everybody, and I probably said this again, trying to push everybody very hard that comes through my classes on design, because it's one of the key things that if you don't have it, you're in trouble. Yeah, I mean, you're in big trouble. Okay? Because this stuff, again, you want to get your drawing together and all that kind of stuff, but that becomes in service to design. That's really what people are going to hire you for, is design. Okay? Now, if you can draw beautifully and express your designs beautifully, they're also hiring you for that. But, you know, Navarez, I think is his name, John Navarez. He's a beautiful drafts person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's a great designer. But man, is he a good draftsman, you know? He's just got all of it, you know? And that's what you want to have. You want to have all of it. Okay, enough of that. I like that movie. I like the look of it. So I would say same thing, maybe reduce a little bit and simplify.
Okay.
Like, go look at those, because those are good reference points. The big heroes, look how they're simplifying. I mean,
Yeah.
almost any movie you look at, almost any of them, when you look at the concept stuff and all that stuff, they're kind of simplifying. Unless it's like Lord of the Rings or something that's very, live action like that has a lot going on or whatever. But if you look at Craig Mullins or somebody like that, or Greg Rakowski, they're painting these incredibly complex looking scenes, but when you look at them, they're not painting half of them. Half of them are just little flicks of brush marks and things like that they indicate stuff, right?
Yeah. So it's like the illusion of detail, but not actually detailing.
That's exactly what it is. Okay, you have to learn that. Okay, and you have to learn that, because most of the stuff you see that you think is so amazingly detailed, it's not usually. Okay. Now, I'm sure there's some people out there who do crazy detail stuff. I mean, personally, it doesn't interest me very much, but it's that, and I like it when I look at a Bill Anton painting or a Matt Smith painting. Like, I saw a Matt Smith landscape, and the guy's a phenomenal plein air painter, right? So anyway, and this one was probably a studio. I don't know if it was plein air or whatever. It was like this big, right? And when you looked at it from, 10 feet away, you're like, holy crap. Like, it's just crazy, right? And there was like some rocks and stuff in the foreground. I can't remember, it was like rocks in the shoreline or something. I can't remember. And when you walked, it was perfect, okay? Then when you walked up to it, those rocks in the foreground, there was nothing there. I mean, there was just flicks of paint and like a brush mark and a dark mark and a this. But when you walk back 10 feet, it just, boom, it all became exactly what it was supposed to be. And I love that kind of stuff. And if you've got that kind of design sensibility and everything, you can do that with your drawing. You can do it with all these kind of things, because most of the time you don't really want to sit there and detail out a drawing or whatever. It's not really what it's for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to go do work, like, what do you want to do?
I'm like new to art still, so I don't have a specific thing, but I kind of like drawing landscapes, like maybe like a background designer or something like that in animation.
That is going to be all about what I'm talking about. It's going to be all about reduction, stylistic point of view, and now it's a lot of software and all that, but at its core, that's what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also you got to be able to whip these things out fast. You got to be. I mean, I can't even. Sometimes the timelines are nuts. Sometimes it just depends partly on who you're working for and what the context is and all that kind of thing. But it's always going to be time. So where somebody's going to put a gun to your head and go, I need it in a half hour. I got to meet in a half hour, and you're going to and so you got to have that ability to whip something out. I mean, you give me a half an hour, I could take one of these, I could whip out a whole cityscape view of it, and probably within an hour. You know what I mean? And partly because I can go, I mean, I could do it without the tool, but that tool makes it pretty fast, that perspective tool,
Mm-hmm.
Which
I actually didn't use the perspective tool at all.
Good, you don't need to yet.
Okay. Because I remember it was broke for me last time, so I just didn't use it last time either.
I don't care about the perspective tool yet. We'll start putting them on the perspective thing on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want you to start building these in the perspective tool when you're just doing thumbnails. That doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of putting the cart before the horse. You want to just be free thinking when you're doing that. And if I'm not going to show them to anybody, if they're just for my process, I could really care less what they look like. I always end up having a lot of fun with them, but I don't really get that hung up what they look like, because nobody's going to see them. If I know somebody's going to see them, then I'm kind of trying to make sure that they're just cleaner, a little cleaner, very descriptive, and then I can just take the good ones and pop them onto a new page and, go present them or whatever. Okay. Where's Natalie at? Espinoza.
Right here.
Okay. I think we need to go. Did I see these last time?
No.
Why didn't I say anything last time?
I had turned it into Canvas. Like, I had that issue where I turned it in the last,
Okay,
right.
did I catch that on the grading?
It was graded, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because this time I downloaded them from there, but I don't want to do that anymore. Because yesterday I reorganized everything. I spent the whole day yesterday just reorganizing everything and going through and getting all the grading done and all that. Getting all my stuff reorganized. And what I'm trying to do, it's not that I'm trying to be a hard ass or whatever. It's very hard to keep track of everything. Okay. And so I have it set up where if we all kind of do it the right way, and it makes the class flow a little better. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing here. I need a little more. Like, I'm not getting any information up here. Are these big chunky overhangs?
Yeah, that's the one I started off with, and I was going to go back to it because it was getting me really mad, but I forgot to go back to it.
Just plow forward. Don't get mad. I mean, that's all you can do. It might be some bushes here. I'll go over that later. Actually, I'll probably go over it Thursday. What kind of roof is this? I'm making it thatch. I don't know why. Maybe there's some wood here. I don't know why I always like to pull the wood out. There's going to be a fascia board or some sort of support board here. So see, I can add not very much, and it starts to help it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then getting a little too unstructured there. This kind of thing. That's not too bad, but I get a little bigger on the on the stone probably.
With the stones, I still kind of have an issue because then they start looking like roof tiles. So I just kind of jumbled it around.
I don't think they're terrible. But I'd probably just go a little bigger.
Okay.
And then again, I find my light. And then also, what's going to help this? Again, you got this wood thing, and I don't know why my brain always goes to wood and it goes to chunky. I don't know why that is. But and then here, give me, I could get pretty chunky on these tiles because I could get pretty super stylized on this thing. And again, like this finial might get a little bigger statement on it. Again, oh, you have it here. Good. I like this. I like this. That's good. And then you have this crank here. So, I might have the rope, coming out of it, going down into the whatever you call it, the well. And then here, I might add like a little crack that comes down, just like we talked about with the curb and all that, remember? Because what does it do? It tells the viewer that there's a lip there without me doing hardly any work. And then I'm going to separate them a little bit like that. So there's a little bit of a gap between them. And then they'll come on the inside, and that gives me the inside going in and out. And then I can start to hit the other sides of my rocks. I can put some grass and stuff here. And then my light's coming from here. So I can kind of punch these. I'll put a little texture on them. Might even put a little value on them. So on and so forth, right? And big chunky, whatever, wood and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what we want to get is our own stylistic point of view on it. I'm giving you really pretty simple, obvious ones. But to be honest with you, if you go and look at, look. It just went out again. Damn it, what was I just thinking about? And now I lost my train of thought. Oh well. Damn it. Oh. I know what it was. I mean, what is this right here? This building right here has been squashed down and chunked up and shoved up a little bit. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's very, it's actually, even though I know it's Monsters Inc., it's very friendly in a weird way. Then they just this little subtle thing right here where it looks like teeth or something. But if you look at it, everything's like really simplified and sort of chunked up a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that, it's one way to go, and you could do it if you're walking into this sort of new, you can look at something like that and go, I'm going to do, because look at, I mean, it's the same, this stylization idea where you want to make something look a little more kid, a little more friendly. It goes across the board. It goes with kids' toys. It goes with kids' products. It goes with, it can even go down to kids' furniture that's more rounded and chunkier and friendlier looking, If I always say, if you look at kids' bath toys, those squeezy bath toy things, they're always like big, chubby, reduced down animals and things like that. It's just a really common thing. And then going to verticality is a totally common thing. And chunking up the timber is a totally common thing. It's like, you'll see it all the time. Like I said, go look at Tangled, Pinocchio, I think Cinderella. Look at the furniture, look at the buildings. They're all chubbed up, big chunky timber stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then San Francisco looks much more modern, a little more verticality, because there's a lot of because trust me, I mean, they made a research trip to San Francisco and all that. And San Francisco is vertical, okay? It's got all these hills, it's got all these Victorian houses that are literally squashed one next to another, and they're like 3 stories. So they're narrow, but they've got 3 stories, right? The whole town is like that. It's all sort of squashed. It's very crowded. It's very condensed, right? All that stuff is going to play into your design if you're working on something, okay? Anyway, there you go. All right, let me get rid of that. Let me look in the chat real quick. Okay, good. Does it look like it's going to rain down there, you guys?
Yeah, it's like super dark at my house.
But
It's
is
only
that
like
fire?
75 degrees here, and it was 112 a few days ago.
Is that the fire or is that the weather?
Yesterday was really orange here, but today it's just like gray clouds, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, so a couple of these, because up here it's just like, it smells like fire, and it's just super gray. It's gray and like, it's weird. It's super weird looking. And all the mountains have all faded back now. They're all just like these gray masses. You can't really see them very well. Hopefully that thing doesn't come up here, I hope. Okay, so a lot of these now, okay, that all makes sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're trying to step into the, okay, so you guys, I'm assuming, have been playing around with Sketchbook Pro a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you're finding out that it's a fairly simple program, right?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so my point with this class is when you say digital drawing, and I'm going to show you a lot of tricks later on with like how to make reactive brushes and all that kind of stuff. And I'll even show you a few other things that fall into a different area, but I think they make sense in here. It's not about the software, really. I mean, you're going to learn the software interfaces. Like, it's not going to take you anything. So we have to learn, you know, how to effectively use these things, how to save time with them. I think that the main thing with obviously with this, number one, these tools are industry standard tools, and that's just what you're going to use. But you also got to know all the ways you can cut corners time with them, okay? But what I always want to emphasize in here is like, that's all great, but don't go, I just want to cut corners, or I don't know what I'm doing, but I can kind of put something together in Photoshop or whatever. You don't want to do that. Make sure you know your fundamentals and everything. And then all the tricks in these things are great because they save you time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was figuring out how to use Sketchbook early today. I just got my tablet like last night, so this morning. That's why mine looks so garbage. I see you're on mine right now. That's because I was trying so hard to figure out how to use Sketchbook and I've never touched a tablet before.
Okay,
so,
whenever you're having problems with that, because I'm going to go back to that when we go back into the interface to put this stuff into the grid. Make sure that you're coming back to me and going, I'm having trouble with this, and that's why I'm here, okay? Like, I don't want to sit there and figure it out. Come back to me and go, hey, I'm having trouble with this. How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm going to go back into the interface Thursday, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was just me trying to figure it out today because I didn't have time and I wanted to get it done on my tablet and it showed up really late. This is my first page. It's really garbage because I was trying to figure out it. I had to turn stuff in, you know, so.
Okay, so on the same comment here, just give me more of a point of view, right?
Yeah, I did, watching how you're critiquing everybody else, now I kind of know what you were looking for. I was trying to be a little too specific and stuff was coming out really technical, so I tried to go back and do it all sketchy.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't want it to look like a technical drawing.
Yeah, I used the first page that I drew, I only used like ruler stuff to make it super
Yeah, don't do that.
imperfective, and that was bad. I was like, I don't like this, so I had to try to figure it out.
I always go in and do what I was showing you guys, where I start sweeping all the lines, and it keeps the mark of my hand in there, and it also starts. Another thing I want you guys to start getting used to is, you know, making clean marks and all that kind of stuff, just without using rulers and all that stuff. Because if you use rulers all the time, it's going to really deaden your drawing. You know.
Yeah, I figured that out.
I hardly ever use that. Almost never. Okay. Okay. Okay, same thing here. Where you at? You here? Same comment. Hey, Taylor.
Hey, I'm here.
All right, so what do you think?
I think I shouldn't mess with the tools that I messed with at the bottom, but otherwise I was cool with it.
Which one? Here?
No, in the museum, because I was trying to get there was like these little shafts, and I was like, okay, well, if I use the cross-hatching tool, I could just get those in, like, and then I did it, and then
use the what?
It was like cross-hatching tool. So it was like 4 little prongs, and then you just like swipe it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. I tried.
But try them, though. I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
I say that, and I bet you I can go online. I bet you I can go on YouTube right now and find somebody who I go, God, that's a great idea, the way he uses it or she.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, don't, you know, try it. What you don't want to do,
Yeah.
here's the danger with some of that stuff. It can get really gimmicky. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what I was experiencing when I was using it.
I was just looking at some new Craig Mullins paintings, or in some, everybody's talking about him in some video game. I don't know the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, his digital paintings are mind blowing. You know what I mean? Just mind blowing. Like, there's no bullshit with that guy's stuff. It looks like bitchin' painting, you know, period, you know?
Yeah.
And he's just so good at it. He's doing that Delacroix kind of thing, and Rembrandt lighting, and like, that dude knows how to paint. Like, he knows how to really paint. That's why he's so good at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why everybody's like, worship at the altar, Craig Mullins, you know what I mean? And he deserves it. I mean, he totally deserves it. When I was going through Disney, the studios last year or whatever, they have artwork everywhere. And there was some big, you know, so you're going through the hallways, all this great artwork, you know. So I always get there early and spend like, I don't know, an hour just looking at all the artwork, wandering around the studio.
Right.
And anyway, there's a couple big Craig Mullins paintings in there. And we were walking down, I was walking down the hallway with a couple of animators or whoever they were. And I go, oh, wow. I go, is that a Craig Mullins? And so you could go, like, I'm walking down the hallway and I go, wow, it's a Milk Call, you know, like, yeah, that's a whatever. And then I go, is that a Craig Mullins? And they go, yeah. Like, he's just like untouchable. You know what I mean? Like, the reaction was funny, the way they said that. They're like, oh yeah, that's a Craig Mullins, you know, like, I'll never do that, you know. It's just, you know, and I'm going, but he deserves, you know, I love seeing people like that get the recognition they deserve.
Right.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to get a little more into this sort of idea, sort of naturalistic stuff pretty quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are we thinking now here? See, I love this. I love this kind of stuff. I love this kind of stuff. But again, let's get a point of view on it.
Okay.
So what stylistically would you want to do with it? Let's say if it was going to be for some entertainment property, what stylistically would you be thinking?
I kind of wanted to put more emphasis on, because the Desert Inn, the one right below my name, with, like, in real life, when you look at it, it's like half torn to shit, because it's not even like a hotel anymore. It's literally just like abandoned. and it has like just like the little tiering kind of where it says office, and it has like a lot of that, but like I want to make it look more broken, but I couldn't really figure out how to do that because some of these places, like the Atomic Inn, isn't really like kind of there anymore. Like it is and it isn't. And the Desert Inn's totally vacant. But I don't know, because I was kind of thinking, because I've been to the Happy Borough before. That was like my first bar. And like it, I don't know stylistically, like what to do.
You're not even old enough to go in a bar.
Yes, I am. I was actually 16 at the Happy Borough because they didn't card me.
That's like my old days, man. That's a trip. I didn't think anybody did that. I guess on the desert they probably do, right?
Oh yeah. Well, no, not even, because like I don't know, their liquor license, since they're so far away from Vegas, no one ever checks. So it's kind of just like, you know, if you know enough people.
What city is the Desert Inn in?
It's in the county is Nye County. So it's kind of like, do you know where Pahrump is? Huh?
What county?
Nye County, NYE. Nye, yeah. It's like
I never heard of that.
I think like 30 miles away from Pahrump. It's like an hour away from Vegas. And yeah, like most of my family lives there. It's kind of like where everyone started because my great grandma's full Native American and my grandpa is Italian. So it's like a mining town.
I can't find a picture of it.
Look up Beatty, Nevada, Happy Borough.
Oh.
And you'll find like a bunch of pictures like that, including the picture I used for that one.
Happy B-U-R-R. Oh, okay. Now I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is another thing. Okay, so when you're talking about something like this Happy Borough or whatever, there's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of information you're going to have to control. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we're looking at, and it's going to be one of the tools you have in this. But like stylistically, what'd you say you want to kind of go for?
Kind of like the more like torn up look almost.
I know, but like let's say a property, like a movie property. What movie? Is it an animated movie? Is it, what is it?
Animated? I can't really think about anything that's like centered in the desert though.
It doesn't have to be in the desert. I'm just talking about stylistically.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's a couple things here, by the way. So let's look.
Really
So let's look at this. Okay, so number one, like just from a line quality perspective, if I was going to do it like this, I've got to separate things. So, you know, let's say the light is here, coming that way. I'm going to probably go right away. You know what I always do when I start these things? I go right to the obvious because it's my way in. If I overthink it too much, I'll overthink it too much, right? So I want to go right into the obvious. The obvious is I can get a little heavier here because I want to pull that forward. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I want to pull this forward. Or I want this to, this, you know, it's an overhang, so it's getting some cast light on it. You know, I want these things to separate. All this foreground stuff here, I want it to separate and pull forward. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah. But, and you see if I kind of start punching the line, how that starts to come forward and overlap the background?
Like it just, yeah.
Whoop, right? Very simple, very simple, right? Like in here, I might go a little darker. Here. And then like when I do this signage, I'm probably going to come in here. And I'm going to probably totally, you know, maybe come in here with some real stylized, what do you call it, grain, and put my signage on here. And then this is going to come down here. And I'm going to do this very stylized. I'm probably going to nick it up a little bit in here, you know, and then put my signage over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and these are small things, but like here, where that little, it's just like we talked about with a fence, where this little thing comes out, I'm going to give it a little darker line, you know, and I would work this out better, obviously. You know, and I'm going to give that some flavor, right? I'm going to give everything some flavor. And then, like here, I love this, this thing here. So I love this kind of stuff. Hang on. I love this little, whatever that is, that stovepipe. It looks like it's probably from a potbelly stove or something. But I'm going to probably, like, I'm going to angle it. Oops. Probably angle it a little bit, emphasize it a little more. And I'm going a little heavier than I normally would. And then I'm probably going to put one of those old, like, caps on it. So I can really see that it's a smoke thing, right? And I might even do a little smoke coming out of it. And this helps me because it just gave a big organic bunch of stuff next to a bunch of geometric stuff, right? Then I'm going to do my my little emphasis on the shingle, so I can kind of go. And don't be one of those people, because I get people all the time and they go, "What? It's not like that." And I go, "Okay, draw it boring, dude. Go ahead and draw it boring. I don't care." It's like, I don't care what's really there. You know what I mean? It's all that is a jumping off point, right? And I might, again, put something in here. I don't know. You know, get that. Okay, but when I was starting this thing, I'm going to make a lot of decisions around, again, stylistic point of view. I got to have a stylistic point of view. And I'm going to come in here and go, you know, is it going to be, you know, it's shacky, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start pushing everything a little harder. And then, you know, stylistic point of view is up to you, obviously. And maybe now I'm going to have that. Okay, so now I'm going to have this. You know, maybe I put the big sign up here. And that's too big. And I might not like it. Who cares? I'm doing it in a thumbnail. I don't care if I like it. I'm going to try it, right? And then maybe I'll put this here, and then maybe here, and then, you know, I'll chunk this up a little bit, maybe chunk this up a little bit. I'm on a chunk kick today, obviously. You know, put these here. And then again, I'm going to probably make these planks a lot bigger, these. Then I'm going to make sure that you see it. It's another place where I might put a little bit of indication of I don't know what's on the side here. I'm going to put like they have one of those storage things right here. You know, and that's planks. You know, maybe it's got a big padlock on it. And then we've got this. And then I'm going to put the door in here. And then I'm going to put that stovepipe thing maybe out here. And it goes into the wall. And then you're going to see it pop up here. Too big. You know, and then I can put that back. And then, again, I'm going to start separating things. And then I'm going to look at my reference some more and go, okay, there's some signage over here. Maybe, and like the signage, that signage, let me see. Yeah, there's like a little, there's a bulletin board. So one thing that'd be fun is that I'd have to do that in the next drawing. I go, I want a little more room for that bulletin board because I like this idea of having the bulletin board and having like paper sort of like that and like a big thumbtack in it. I like all this stuff up here. And that also gives me a place to go, you know, and then I have one, maybe the corners rolling up on it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I could put things on here that are silly or whatever. I don't know. Like sometimes if you look at things like community bulletin boards in weird places like Middle Desert, you'll find weird stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like creepy guys doing weird stuff or funny stuff or. Anyway, so I could, you know, then I go, okay, I want to put that in there because that'll be fun. Maybe I'll put something over here. Now I got this. And I got this and this. Then, you know, the big door. Fascia board. Maybe some of that here. So it's not so thin looking. I want to pull that out a little more. You know, and so on and so forth. And I start to reduce and simplify and sort of design it a little bit. Does that make sense? And sometimes I never,
Yeah.
you know, and then maybe here it says Happy Burrow. Or maybe I go further. This is probably what I would do. I do something like we were just looking at with that Chris DeBoda stuff, I think it was. I'd probably design like a little silly looking burrow sign. You know, the Happy Burrow, and it's like hanging from something.
Yeah.
But he's a burrow, you know, it says Happy Burrow. Or maybe, you know, it's this part down here says Happy Burrow, and it's just all wood. It's like a flat piece of wood. That's what I would probably do, right? And then maybe I'd hang that out here somewhere. You know, here's my Happy Burrow sign. You know, I wouldn't put it there, but you know what I mean? Could be hanging off somewhere. Then I can put it like little chains on it and a plank. Like maybe it's hanging like from a plank right here because everything looks makeshifty here. So maybe it's hanging from a board, an old 2x4 like that. And then here's where it says Happy Burrow. So I'm pushing and pushing and pushing, right? When I want, here's what I want you to do. I want everybody to do, because this is what I love about this, is I want you to fall into this world. And you're sort of creating it as you fall into it. And all of a sudden you're in it. You know what I mean? And I don't know how to explain that. Hopefully you've already experienced that. Where you're just like, it's almost like you found some magical place. And I always love it because I can draw really fast. You know, like when I was doing my children's book, I could go, really be cool if all the dogs came around this corner and they found there was a waterfall and they saw the old dilapidated fire tower. You know, and you're just going, oh, as you come around the corner, you know, Sage is going to be standing right here, you know, and then her buddy's right here talking to her. And you're just doing it, you know, and you're just in it. Like you feel like you're really there, like you're exploring it and you're creating it as you're going. You know what I mean? And I think for me, part of what drives that is when I was a kid, I always wanted to explore, you know. I want to go to the mountains just to run around and explore, you know, and I still feel like that. And I think if you dive into that in your head with your work and be there, I think I think it works better. Does that make sense? Okay. Now everybody has different approaches and everybody has different approaches. Okay. But that's kind of how I do it. And that way, I'm creating a world. I want to create something that is compelling to people or to myself, really. Okay. Does that all make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Point of view, simplification, readability, overlap. Okay, this thing of darkening these lines here, why is that not doing it? Hang on. Always does this. Of darkening up these lines, you know, so they come forward, it's overlap, right? And we're using line here. So we want to start learning how to use our line to separate, to clarify, to read, to all that sort of thing, okay?
Okay.
And sometimes, by the way, I never think about, and this, you know, you might not be used to this, I get it. When I'm looking at my reference, 90% of the time, I'll turn the building some other way or whatever. You know what I mean? And it kind of, I think I do that subconsciously because I go, I don't want to copy that photo. So I'm going to do a different point of view. And all I'm doing, what am I doing? I'm just turning a box.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing, right? And then I'm carving up the box. That's all we're doing with this, right? And you'll see when we get to people, there's a similarity in all this, okay? It's also going to be a shape breakdown, just like this is, okay? I'm running out of time here, you guys. Hang on. Okay, so I have a feeling that most of these, if I go through the rest of them, they're going to be similar. I think I've talked enough about this, okay? What I want you guys to do by Thursday, get your point of view nailed down, okay? And I've gone through almost all these. And if there's anything I haven't gone through on Thursday, I'll go through a couple of them because I'm running out of time. Here's what I want. Go into Sketchbook, and I want it in Sketchbook, not Photoshop. Hang on. Do an 11 by 17. I'm just gonna say one page. I mean, you can do as many as you want, but 11 by 17. And I'm just gonna want you to start or to figure out, do this. Just give yourself about 11 by 17 ratio, and then go, I'm gonna have my house coming into view here. I'm gonna have a village down here with more of my stuff. It's gonna go this way, and here's the docks. Here's some docks right here. Here's some buildings. I'm gonna have a, what do you call it? Mountains back there, and I'm gonna start putting some buildings here, and then you go, okay, now I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do one where maybe my main thing is way back here. And maybe it comes out here. And then I've got a fountain here, and I've got another thing, and this is a bigger building, maybe goes out of frame. And this one, and I've got a fountain there. And then I do another. Boom. And just work out your composition. Does that make sense?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Is this the thumbnail for the scene we're making? That's showing the...
You're taking your thumbnails you did, your stylistic point of view, and now you're going to do thumbnails that start to figure out your final thing. This is going to be for your final. I just want them small like this. I want them real simple, and I just want them readable. Does that make sense, you guys?
And it's...
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah.
I have to, and just to double check, I have to complete this by Thursday, right?
I want thumbnails by Thursday, and I want stylistic point of view nailed down by Thursday.
Wait.
Okay. Somebody else going to say something?
I'm confused. What's the assignment? Are there 2 assignments or one?
You have this one for Thursday.
Okay.
The final assignment is when we're going to start going to on Thursday. That'll be your final. That'll be your 2-point perspective on the grid, stylistic point of view, composition nailed down. We've gone through the process, and now we're going to start putting it on the grid.
Thank
and
you.
by the way, I'm going to try and compress this as much as I can, okay? So, you know, hopefully we can get them done fairly quickly, okay? I'll give you enough time to breathe on it, but, you know, and then again, I want to take this and then do a night view of it and stuff like that, okay? Make sense?
Okay, cool. I was just writing down some notes saying.
You have this video that I'll put up probably today or tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Mike?
Yeah.
On the one-page thumbnail on this one, can we add a little bit more stuff, even though we didn't add it before?
Yeah, you can do. I don't care as long as it looks cool. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't want to tie anybody's hands creatively or whatever. Okay. If you're gonna do something cooler, do something cooler.
All right. So you want to like to do squares like that? What you're doing, right?
Just like that.
Okay. That's again. Thank you.
Keep
I
it.
gotta know what's going on. I gotta be able to read them.
You want us to keep it kind of sketchy like that, just kind of to place things?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, just where I can read them. That's it. They don't have to be. I'm gonna put some up. I'll link some. You know, and they're varying levels of stuff. Mostly they're like silhouette stuff. But yeah, I just want them to be finished thumbnails that look readable, and I understand what's going on.
Okay.
Okay.
How many sketches per page?
Just like that. However many you can get on a page. I would do more than one page, but it just depends. But I would do them small like that and fill up a page. That's it. 11 by 17.
Cool.
Okay, does everybody understand?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, you guys. I'm 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes. Okay, okay, if you guys haven't, if you hit any roadblocks or whatever, hit me, okay?
All right.
Okay,
See
guys, I'll see you on Thursday.
I'll see you in 36 minutes.
36 minutes.
Yeah, because we have fundamental continuity class. I have your class next.
Okay, wait a minute, you guys. Let me screenshot the room one more time. Oh no, I think okay. Hopefully I got everybody. If I didn't get you, if I didn't get you and on the attendance you were here, let me know. Or I guess if you're here, you do know. Anyway.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
did you get the email I sent you yesterday?
What was it regarding?
It was regarding, I uploaded the last assignment to the Google Drive. I removed it today so it wouldn't confuse you. I only had 2 pages instead of 4 done.
But you emailed it to me, right?
I did email it to you yesterday before I removed it. Just so
okay, I saw it, but I'll look at it.
Okay, and I wanted to ask too, because I'm still figuring out Sketchbook. I noticed everybody else's drawings look very natural, like they are drawing with pencil and paper. Is there any like tips you can give me to?
I'll go over that on Thursday. Bring that up on Thursday.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
See you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.